You weren't supposed to open it. And even now, you can't explain why you did. It was buried beneath floorboards in a collapsed house on the outskirts of Hiroshima, a small leather-bound book, fused slightly at the edges, its cover warped by heat no human could have survived. No title, no name, just ash smudged into the seams and a faint floral pattern scorched into the spine. When you touched it, your fingers stung. You thought it was dust or a splinter, but that night, your dreams caught fire. You saw a little girl tracing kanji into the pages with an ink brush. You saw her stop mid-sentence. You felt the flash, not light obliteration, and then silence, the kind that follows extinction. Every time you read a page, a new dream comes, a new scream, a new detail from a life the world was never meant to remember. Some entries are half-burned, others finish themselves after you read them. And the worst part, one of the pages has your name on it now, and it wasn't there before. You weren't supposed to be there. The tour ended 2 blocks back. Your group had moved on, polite, quiet, camera-ready. The guide had said this house was structurally unsafe, technically condemned, off-limits, but the fence had fallen, the doorway gapped open, and something about the way the shadow fell across the tatami floor pulled at you. Not curiosity, not defiance, something older, quieter, like the house had been waiting. It's barely standing, charred beams, a cracked window that lets in a beam of stubborn sunlight, no furniture, just rubble and silence. You step over a pile of collapsed plaster and push open what might have once been a sliding door. Inside, a single wooden drawer is half buried under broken floorboards. You crouch, touch it. It's warm. You hesitate, but only for a second. Then you open it, and that's when you see it. A book, small, brown leather, warped at the corners, edges fused as if kissed by flame. No lock, no name. The cover's surface is flaking, but you can make out the faint outline of a flower, 5 petals, like a child might draw. You reach for it. It's hotter than it should be. For a second, you think it's reacting to your skin. A flash of heat, then a sharp bite like a paper cut you didn't see happen. You almost drop it, but you don't. You hold it, and just like that, the house is quiet again. You don't remember walking back to the hotel. Your hands don't stop shaking until you reach your room. You tell yourself not to open the book. Not yet, maybe not ever, but you do. The first page is blank, the second isn't. August 4. I had a dream last night that it snowed. Everything was white, even the sun. I told Father, and he laughed. He said the sky has never turned white, but in the dream, it did. You blink. The next page has no date. They keep saying the war will end soon, but I don't believe them. That's all. 3 entries, all you can take. That night, you dream. You are not yourself. You are watching from the corner of a narrow room, faded walls, paper doors, a vase with a cracked stem. A girl with black hair sits cross-legged, writing carefully in a journal. You can't move. You can only observe. She hums as she writes, something gentle, off-key. A woman, her mother, calls her from another room. She looks up, smiles. Then without transition, the scene flashes white. You feel it more than see it. A pressure that crushes the air, then sucks it back in. Your skin burns, your teeth rattle, then nothing. Darkness, silence. You wake up gasping. The clock reads 3:02 a.m. Your chest is damp. Not sweat, your shirt smells like smoke. You turn on the light. The book is on the desk where you left it, but the cover looks different now. The flower is darker, clearer. The petals seem to have soot pressed into their shape. And when you flip to the page where the girl mentions snow, there is a new sentence at the bottom, in a smaller, unfamiliar hand. You saw it too. You don't sleep after that. You sit in the corner of your hotel room, watching the diary from across the room like it might move on its own. Once, you swear you hear something like a breath escaping the paper. The sun rises slowly behind the curtain, and still, you don't dare open it again. Not yet, because now you understand something you didn't before. This book wasn't waiting to be found. It was waiting for you. You wake up to sunlight, the kind that doesn't feel warm. You slept eventually, but it wasn't restful. You kept dreaming in fragments. A ribbon twisting in slow motion, ash falling like snow, a name being whispered over and over, too soft to catch. And always, that flower. The book is still there on the desk, closed now. The air around it feels different, still, like the moment before a storm. You tell yourself not to touch it. You touch it anyway. You flip to the next page. The ink is darker today, fresher, like it hasn't aged a day. August 5, 1945. We played shadow games in the hallway today. Yuki's looked like a crane. Mine looked like nothing. I told her that meant I'd be invisible when I grow up. You pause. This is a child's world. Simple, innocent. But there's something in the phrasing, something that clings. You keep reading. My teacher says if we're good, we'll get ice candy next week. I asked if next week would still happen. She smiled but didn't answer. My name is Emiko. You stare at the page. There it is, her name, at the bottom of the entry, as if she knew one day someone else would need it. And somehow, you do. You say it out loud. Emiko. The room exhales. You search online quickly, nervously. Emiko, Hiroshima, 1945, age 12. You expect a flood of information. You get nothing. No matching name. No school records. No photograph. Nothing but silence. You open the diary again. On the inside cover where it was blank before a new sentence has appeared. You said my name. You drop the book. You go outside. Not far, just a walk. You need to feel real air. See other people. Prove to yourself that the world hasn't changed because of a handful of pages and a dream that felt too much like death. But you keep hearing her name, whispered behind trees, echoed in alleyways, and once, just once in your own voice, spoken without meaning to. Emiko. You return to the hotel after dark. The diary is exactly where you left it. You stare at it for a long time. Then carefully you open to the middle. The pages there are more damaged. Some are unreadable, charred black, but a few remain. August 6, 1945 morning. Mama tied my braid too tight again. I told her it hurt, but she laughed. I don't want to go to school today. Something feels wrong. The sky is too quiet. There's a plane. I can hear it. Everything is white. That's where it ends. But underneath the entry in red ink, there's another sentence. It wasn't there a second ago. You felt it too. You slam the book shut. Your heart won't slow down. You check your fingers. One of them is red. You think it's ink. You hope it's ink. You sleep with the light on. You don't dream, not that night. But when you wake up, there's ash on the floor. Just a few grains. Right beneath the diary. You decide to go to the Peace Memorial Museum. You need answers, names, records, evidence that this girl existed. The building is quiet, reverent. Photographs line the walls. Glass boxes contain broken dolls, melted lunchboxes, tattered school uniforms. You stare at one in particular, a blue ribbon, half scorched, tied around nothing. A placard reads, "Unidentified child's hair ribbon. Found near the hypocenter." You whisper her name beneath your breath, and for a moment, the glass fogs. You find a museum volunteer, an older man with tired eyes. You ask if there's any record of a girl named Emiko, age 12, who died in Hiroshima. He doesn't answer at first. Then he says, "That name comes up. Sometimes, people claim they've seen it. In letters, on walls, in books that burn and don't. But there's no official record. No family left. Like she never existed." You tell him about the diary. His face strains of color. "You need to put it back," he says, "or destroy it." You show it to him. He won't touch it. He only says one thing before walking away. Some memories burn too hot to carry. Back in your hotel room, you open the diary again. There's a new entry, not in Emiko's handwriting. It's yours. You didn't write it. "I dreamed of ash." She smiled at me. She said I could help her remember. And now, she's writing again. You look down. Your finger is moving. Not on its own, but not entirely under your control either. You're writing something. but you're not thinking the words. You're remembering them. And at the bottom of the page, Emiko writes, "Thank you for reading. I didn't want to be invisible forever." You close the book. It feels heavier now. Not cursed, not evil, just burdened. And now, that burden is yours. It's hard to say when the dream begins. It doesn't announce itself with color or sound. It doesn't feel like a dream at all. You're standing in a narrow hallway, wood creaking beneath your bare feet. The paper walls around you are thin, letting sunlight pass through like breath through gauze. There is a breeze, warm and slow. You hear laughter, small, clear, familiar. You follow it. Emiko sits by a window. She's not writing, just humming. Her feet swing above the tatami mat as she folds a scrap of paper, a crane. You think, though the wings are uneven. She looks up and stares right at you. No one's ever looked at you in a dream before, not like this. Not with eyes that seem aware. You try to speak, but she holds a finger to her lips. "Shh," she says. Then she smiles and points. You turn. A wall calendar hangs to your left. August 6, 1945, Monday, circled in red. A clock ticks softly. 8:14 a.m. You look out the window. Nothing moves. No birds. No clouds. Just sky, pale and empty. Then a distant sound. Not loud, not yet. A hum, low and mechanical. Growing. Emiko stands up slowly. She walks toward the front door. Doesn't run. Doesn't panic. Just moves. Like someone who's done this before. She opens the door and steps outside. You try to follow, but your feet won't move. You're stuck rooted to the floor like a tree waiting to burn. And then the light. It is not bright. It is all white, then orange, then sound. Not a bang, not an explosion. A tear. The sky tears open. The air itself becomes fire. You feel it hit your chest, your skin, your teeth. You feel yourself lifted, not up, not sideways but apart. As if memory is being pulled from you like paper from a burning book. You want to scream, but your mouth is gone. Everything is gone, except for her eyes still locked on yours in the moment before the light takes everything. And then, darkness. You wake up gasping, not sweating soaked. You reach for the lamp. The bulb flickers, then bursts. Your room fills with silence so dense, you can hear your own heartbeat echo off the walls. You look at your hands. There's ash on your palms. The diary is open again. You didn't leave it that way. A single line is written in the middle of the page. Now you've seen it, your head spins. You stand up too quickly and fall against the desk. The lamp rolls onto the floor, flickering before it dies completely. And then for a split second you feel something behind you. A presence. Not hostile, not kind, just watching. You don't turn around. You can't. Later, as the sun rises, you sit on the floor with the diary in your lap. The cover is changing. You run your fingers over it. The 5-petal flower is now glowing faintly, its shape deeper, etched in something that wasn't there before. It's not carved, it's branded, burned in. And beneath it, a single word appears in soft, smudged kanji. You recognize it. You look it up to be sure. Kyoku. Memory. You return to the calendar you saw in the dream. August 6, 1945, 8:15 a.m., the moment the bomb hit Hiroshima. Your phone confirms it. Your stomach turns. Because you didn't just dream it. You remembered it as if it were your own. You try to convince yourself it's empathy, trauma by proxy. You've read about that. But when you check the soles of your feet, they're black with soot. And in the folds of your bed sheets, a small burnt paper crane. You leave your room to breathe. You take the elevator down to the lobby, hands trembling. You tell the woman at the front desk you'd like to check out early. She nods without question, as if she's heard this before. As she processes your request, she glances at the diary under your arm and her eyes widen. She doesn't say a word, but something in her expression says, "You shouldn't have picked it up." You don't ask. You just nod, thank her, walk out. Outside, the streets of Hiroshima are calm, too calm, as if beneath every storefront and sidewalk, there is still something sleeping. You know now the bomb wasn't the end. It was the beginning of memory. And the diary, Emiko's diary, is a doorway. You just step through. And now, you're not alone. You return to your apartment a day early. You don't tell anyone why. Not your friends. Not your professor. Not the agent who arranged the volunteer trip. You just say, something came up, which is true. Something came up through the floorboards of a condemned house in Hiroshima. And now, it's come home with you. The diary sits on your desk. Same spot you've placed your keys, your phone, your life, things that belong in your world. But it doesn't belong here, and it doesn't pretend to. Even sealed in a plastic evidence bag you brought from a side drawer, a half-hearted attempt to stop it from spreading, the leather cover still radiates heat, like it remembers something you haven't read yet, or like it's waiting for you to catch up. You finally open it again, carefully, slowly. You flip to the page where Emiko first wrote the line. You saw it too, except it's gone. The handwriting is different now, messier, rushed. You scan the lines. Your chest tightens. It's not Emiko, it's you. I can't stop dreaming. I felt it again, the heat. But now I could hear her laughing. I think she's glad someone finally followed her past the flash. You didn't write this. You're sure of it. But the penmanship matches yours exactly. You turn the page. The next entry is dated August 7, 1945, but Emiko was vaporized on the 6th. I woke up under a blanket, but there was no roof. Yuki isn't answering me. She's lying sideways like she's still playing. There's glass in my arm, but I can't feel it. Only buzzing. The handwriting here is hers. You remember it now, the steady strokes, the small circles over every eye, like she was drawing them with intention. You feel the words in your gut, like the diary isn't describing her pain, it's sharing it. You slam the book shut, breathe, once, twice, 3 times, then you open it again. The page is gone. In its place is something new, a drawing, charcoal maybe, or ash rubbed onto the page. It shows a small girl standing in a hallway. You recognize it. It's the house, the window, the floor mat, but this time, you are in the background, drawn in rough outline. No face, just shadow. You flip ahead. The entries start shifting. Some are half-written, then scribbled out in ink that runs off the page. Others are crossed out violently, as if someone was fighting to unwrite them. One entry repeats the same line 5 times. I wasn't supposed to see you. Then, another underneath it. But now you're writing too. You think about burning it. You even hold it above your sink. But the idea makes you nauseous. Like it would be wrong, not because you fear the fire, but because the book would scream. You drop it instead. It lands open, on a blank page. As you stare, letters begin to form, not written, appearing, like the heat is burning them into the paper. You opened it, you saw me, now let me show you more. You don't sleep that night. You try. You close the curtains. You unplug everything. You wrap the diary into layers of cloth and slide it under your bed. But your dreams don't care where it is. They come anyway. You're back in Hiroshima, but it's not 1945. The buildings are taller, newer, but something's still off. There's smoke again, sirens, a sense of before and after colliding. People run through the streets holding phones instead of hands. A screen flickers in a store window. A modern skyline, Seoul, maybe, or Mumbai. Then, a flash, not nuclear, but still devastating. And in the reflection of the window, you see her, standing behind you, not burned, not broken, just waiting. You wake up with blood on your lip from biting it in your sleep. You feel it now, the shift. This diary doesn't just remember Hiroshima, it's evolving, learning, telling stories that haven't happened yet but will. And somehow, you're part of it now. You flip through the last pages. One has a name scrawled in the margins. Thomas Green 1972, you look him up. An American college student who disappeared while backpacking across Japan. Last seen in Hiroshima. The police blamed a landslide. His journal was never recovered. But now, you wonder if that's because this is his journal, or was. And now, it's yours. The next morning, you find a line waiting for you at the top of a fresh page. "You're writing again tonight," you whisper aloud, not meaning to. "No, I'm not." And then your pen, the one on your desk, begins to shake. You start keeping the diary inside a locked drawer. It makes no difference. You hear it sometimes shifting, ever so slightly. The sound of a page turning when there's no breeze. The sound of breath where there should be none. One night, you set up your phone camera to record it. 6 hours of footage. In the final 20 seconds, the book moves exactly 1 inch to the left. There is no one in the frame, no vibration, no wind, no explanation, just motion. And when you check the diary that morning, the first page now reads, "They all tried to leave me too." You dig deeper. You start calling libraries, museums. You search in both English and Japanese. You follow whispers in online forums that don't show up on Google, private message boards for memory anomalies, as someone called them. Finally, you find a post. "Does anyone know about a burned diary found near Hiroshima in the 1970s? My uncle claimed he read it. Then he stopped sleeping. Then he stopped talking." You reach out. Days later, the reply comes. His name was Thomas Green. He disappeared 2 months later, left behind a single page in his handwriting. It said, "She's still dreaming." And now, I'm inside it. The name matches what you saw scribbled in the diary. Thomas Green. You're not the first. You flip through the book again. This time, you look for other names, other messages, and you find them. Not in order, not clearly, but like fragments caught between time and decay. Julian, France, 1993, Rivera, Manila, 2008, Ava L. Toronto, 1985, I saw my name on a wall of flame. Saori, Kyoto, 2011, it remembers new fire. It doesn't forget earthquakes either. Some entries are just single sentences, scribbled desperately, despairingly. It won't stop writing. If you see the ash, stop reading. I think it's not a diary. I think it's a mouth. You keep flipping. The names begin to blur. Then you stop, because you see yours, your name, your handwriting, on a page you have no memory of writing. I tried to leave it in a museum. It followed me home. Please, if you find this, don't say her name out loud. Your hands tremble. You want to run. Throw the book into the ocean. Burn it. Bury it. Mail it to no one. But part of you is afraid now, not of being haunted, but of what might happen if you stop reading. That night, you dream again. Not of fire. This time, you see a room. A dark one. Stone walls. A wooden floor scorched black. The air smells of wet ash and something older sorrow, maybe. There are people in the room. You recognize some of them. From photographs. From old newspaper clippings. Thomas Green, the French student, the girl from Toronto. They're all holding copies of the diary. Each one flickers slightly, like candles in wind. At the center of the room is a table, and sitting on it is her, Emiko, but not 12. Older, maybe 17, maybe 70. Hard to tell. She is neither decayed nor glowing, just there, waiting. She looks up and says your name. You wake up at 3:02 a.m. again. The clock is always stuck there when the dreams end. This time, the diary is not on your desk. It's on your pillow. Open. A line waits for you. They couldn't carry the weight, but maybe you can. You're reading this deeper than they ever did. You saw me die, but I didn't stop remembering. You realize the book is not a diary. It's a collector of memory, of trauma, of people. You wonder what it's doing to you. You wonder if it's already done. You try writing something. Your hand moves reluctantly, but it moves. Emiko, what do you want? Nothing happens. You wait. You flip the page. A response appears, not in your handwriting. To be remembered correctly, another line follows. The bomb took my body, but forgetting me is worse. And another. When they talk about Hiroshima, they talk about numbers. They don't say my name. You said it. You said it out loud. You whisper, Emiko, and the window creaks open even though it's locked. Later, when you try to close the diary, the last page clings to your fingers. You tear it gently. Underneath is a drawing, Emiko's house, and in the doorway, drawn in ink and shadow, is you. It's morning again, but the world feels slightly off, like you're seeing it through the same warped glass Emiko's house once held in its broken window frame. You go to brush your teeth, you glance up, and for a split second, just one blink, the reflection isn't yours. It's hers. Dark hair, soft face, braid over one shoulder, eyes like wet charcoal. Gone. You drop the toothbrush. You make a decision. You call the Hiroshima Peace Memorial Museum again. You ask for the same elderly volunteer who warned you. You don't give your name. You just say, "I have the diary. I want to know what it is." Silence on the other end. Then, "You should have left it." You push. He sighs. There's no official record of the book, but you're not the first. People have brought in items like it before. Scorched things. A shoe, a mirror, a child's toy, but the diary is different. It doesn't want to be archived. It wants to be held. Every time it appears, someone disappears. We stopped trying to catalog it after 1985. My wife, she read it. Once, the line clicks. He hangs up. You sit at your desk. The diary sits across from you, as always. Now you're certain. It doesn't just store memory, it feeds on it, but not in the way a parasite does. More like a grave feeds on flowers. Quiet, patient, still. You pick it up. It's cool to the touch today. That's worse somehow. You open it to a random page. The writing isn't Emiko's. It isn't yours. It's different, scratchy, shaky, English. My name is Helen from Manchester. I found this book in 1960 while visiting my sister. I only read to pages, but I began seeing things. My dreams bled. My hands shook. It knew I wasn't ready. The entry ends there. Underneath it, in different ink, is a single line. You are. You flip forward. You land on an entry dated September 11th, 2001. Your blood chills. There's too much fire again. I don't know the city's name, but I see it. I feel them falling. You turn the page. March 11th, 2011. The ground shakes under my skin. A wave taller than buildings. So many children. Screaming inside my chest. February 24, 2022. I smell metal. A tank rolls through my ribcage. Fire blooms in a hospital. Why is memory louder now? You stop. You're shaking. The diary isn't remembering Hiroshima anymore. It's remembering everything. Every war, every bombing, every death too massive to count, too easy to forget. The diary isn't haunted. It's awake. And with every reader, it becomes more. You write again. You don't mean to, but your hand moves on its own. How do I stop it? Seconds pass. A new line appears. You don't. Another. You carry it until someone else says my name. You speak it again. Emiko. The lamp flickers. Outside, wind stirs even though the air was still a moment ago. You try one last thing. You take the diary to a river. You don't throw it in, not yet. You kneel by the edge, holding it in both hands, whispering, "Do you want to rest?" Nothing happens. Then, a final line appears on the inside back cover, "Only if they remember," and beneath it, not as a shadow, not as a number, as me. You hold the diary to your chest. It feels warm again, not burning, just alive. You walk home with it in your bag. That night, no dreams come, no whispers, no fire, just silence. It's not peace, but it's the closest you've felt to it since you opened the book. And in the morning, you find one last line written across a blank page. "You've given me more than memory. You've given me a voice." You stare at it. Then slowly, you close the diary. For now. The dreams come back 3 nights later, but they're different now. You aren't standing in Emiko's house. You're not in Hiroshima. You're not even in the past. You're in a city you don't recognize, modern, but silent. Towering glass buildings loom above. Advertisements flicker on screens written in languages you don't speak. The sky is gray with static. You try to walk, but the ground feels unstable, like it's waiting to split. Then the wind picks up. It's not natural wind. It's the rush that comes before a siren. You turn a corner and see a school. The windows are shattered. The flag is half melted on the pole. And on the playground, children are frozen mid-laughter like statues cast in dust. Then they begin to crumble, one flake at a time. You hear a voice behind you, soft, breathless. It's not just me anymore. You turn. Emiko stands in a puddle of reflection. But the puddle doesn't show the city, it shows scenes from other times, other tragedies. A woman crying into rubble. A man in a gas mask holding a child's hand. A soldier looking down at an empty helmet. Each one flickers like old film. You wake up. The clock reads 3:02 a.m. Your apartment smells like scorched paper. You run to the desk. The diary is open. No entry this time. Just a single sentence stretched across both pages. Every time they forget one war, another begins. You sit down. Your hands shake as you write. Are these future wars? A pause. Then ink appears slow, like it's being exhaled. Not yet, but they are waiting. You ask another question. Why me? Because you didn't close the book, because you kept reading, because you remembered me. You don't sleep for days after that. Not because of fear, because every time you dream now, you see more. More cities, more children, more people looking up and thinking, it won't happen here, but it always does. And in every dream, Emiko watches with you, not weeping, just watching. You begin noticing patterns. On the subway, a woman across from you is holding a book. You can't read the title, but the cover looks familiar, cracked leather, almost burned. You blink, and it's just a novel again. In the park, a little boy drops a paper crane. It lands at your feet. 5 petals are drawn on its wings, the same shape as the flower on Emiko's diary. You pick it up. He stares at you, says, "She's still dreaming," then runs. You begin tracking historical dates. Each time Emiko writes a vision, you compare it to a real event. Some are clear, others don't exist yet. You start making lists. Unnamed city, flash of light, hospital collapsing, flood, helicopters hovering, children on rooftops, no flags visible, one man pressing a button, the world watching, not breathing. None of them have happened, but they all feel inevitable, like the diary is trying to warn you or warn someone through you. One entry appears without warning. You won't be the last. The book will pass again. When it does, show them what you saw. Tell them my name. Tell them I watched the future, and no one listened. You don't know how to respond. You simply write, I will. Then the ink rises again, like a breath coming back into lungs. Thank you. You've walked farther than anyone, even after the flash, even through the silence. You saw me as more than ash. You saw me as a girl. And for the first time, you feel her smile, not as a ghost, not as a symbol, but as a person. A girl who lived, a girl who died, a girl who somehow kept watching because the world kept forgetting. And maybe finally she knows she won't be forgotten anymore. Later that night, another page appears. No ink, no drawing, just a sentence scratched into the paper from the other side, as if carved instead of written. You hold it up to the light. It reads, "The future doesn't have to burn." You think about putting the diary away for good. You even pack it in a box, wrap it in cloth, tape the lid shut and place it in the back of your closet. You go for a walk, buy a coffee, smile at someone, try to remember what it felt like before. But the silence that follows you is heavy now, not the quiet of peace, the quiet of something waiting. That night, you lie in bed and dream of pages, hundreds of them, spinning in a vortex around you, scorched at the edges, whispering as they pass. You haven't finished, you haven't written it yet, it's your turn. You wake with ink on your hands, not smudges, words. They fade as the morning light hits your skin, but you remember one phrase clearly. Every witness becomes part of the story. You retrieve the diary. You already knew you would. It's lighter now somehow. You open to the final blank page. Your name is already written at the top, in your own handwriting. You never wrote it, but it's there, waiting. You sit in silence for a long time. Then slowly you pick up your pen and begin. My name is your name. I found this diary in a forgotten house in Hiroshima. I wasn't supposed to touch it. I did anyway. I've read her story. I've seen the dreams. I've felt the fire. I thought this was a haunting, but it's something else. It's a memory too heavy for one soul to carry alone, so she shares it again and again until someone listens. I'm listening now. You pause, take a breath, write again. I used to think history lived in museums. Now I know it lives in people, in dreams, in guilt, in stories that refuse to stay buried. Her name was Emiko. She was 12. She liked drawing. She hated pickled plums. She had a friend named Yuki, and she died in fire, but she didn't disappear. She remembered us even when we forgot her. Now it's our turn. When you finish writing, the page feels warm beneath your hand. A final line appears at the bottom, not written by you. Now I remember your name too. The diary closes itself, and for the first time, you feel peace. You think it's over, but the next morning, the diary is gone. Not stolen, not lost, just gone, like it had taken what it needed. Or maybe, like it's moving on. You check your phone, a news alert flashes. Fire breaks out in historical library in Lisbon. No casualties. One item reported missing. You read it twice, then again. Your hands tremble. You understand what's happening. The diary isn't done. It's traveling, still finding the ones who can carry the memory forward. You look at your reflection. This time, it is you, but behind your eyes, you can still feel her watching, not trapped, not angry, just remembering, with you. And somewhere, someday, someone else will find the diary. They'll read your name, they'll dream of fire, they'll whisper, her name was Emiko, and the memory will live on. You try telling someone, not everything, just enough. You say you found an old diary in Hiroshima, that it disturbed you, that it showed you things, vivid things, that it's gone now, and you don't know where or why. Your friend listens politely, then says, sounds like trauma. You okay? You nod. Lie. You tell someone else. They joke. What is this, a horror movie? The Ring, but for books? You laugh too because it's easier than explaining the truth, that a little girl's memories are now part of you, that history is a mouth with teeth, that you've been bitten, and you can still feel it healing over slowly, that every time you close your eyes you see. You try writing it as fiction, a short story, a script, a voiceover for a documentary no one asked you to make, but when you read it aloud, it sounds hollow, stripped, as if the real thing is too heavy to survive translation. You're not telling a story, you're carrying a ghost. Eventually, you stop trying to explain. You keep a notebook instead. In it, you list things Emiko saw or warned of or dreamed before they happened. You list her symbols. The paper crane with 5-petal wings, the girl with no shadow's name that appears only at 3:02 a.m., the flower that burns but doesn't blacken, smell of smoke in water, sentence no one hears until it's too late. You don't know if they're real, but you know they feel true, and that's enough now. You look for the diary again. You check eBay, darker forums, whispered threads on Reddit that get deleted hours after posting. Sometimes someone says they saw it in Berlin, in Seoul, in Cape Town, a museum fire, a child whispering in a library, a survivor of a bombing who says they remember things they shouldn't, always vague, always unverifiable, always followed by silence. You wonder if they wrote in it too. You wonder if they dreamed of her. You wonder if they said her name aloud. Emiko, just once is enough. You meet someone eventually, at a bookstore, the back corner, a table covered in war literature and memoirs. They're reading a book on Hiroshima. You feel a chill, not cold. Recognition. You ask if they've ever read Emiko's diary. They freeze, then say, You saw her too. You don't ask how. You don't need to. They tell you they had the diary once, 3 years ago. Found it in a box of antique books at a flea market in Morocco. They kept it for 10 days, then mailed it to a university in Canada. But when they called to check if it arrived, no one had heard of it. The two of you talk for hours. No proof, no plan, just memory, shared, fractured, heavy. They tell you one thing before leaving. It never stays, but it always returns. You believe them, because you felt it too. You walk home with your hands in your pockets. Something crinkles. You pull it out. A page, not torn, just left. One you never saw before. On it, Emiko's handwriting. The ones who remember for all of us, even if no one believes you, the memory still exists. That's all I ever needed. You fold the page, place it in your new notebook, and for the first time in weeks, you sleep. No dreams, no fire, just silence, and in that silence, a whisper of thanks. You don't know exactly when it happens. There's no bolt of lightning, no ritual, no voice from the void, just a shift, subtle, gradual, unmistakable. You notice it when someone tells you a story. A stranger on a train mentions their grandmother surviving a fire. A man in a cafe recalls a riot in his childhood city. A friend shows you a faded photo of someone long gone. And as they speak, you see it. More than what they say. You see the texture of their memory, the sounds, the smells, the moment before impact, the silence after. You see the story they're not telling. And when they finish, you feel like you've just read another page. You begin writing again, not just your own thoughts, others' memories, fragments, images, visions, the kind that slip between generations, the kinds that don't show up in textbooks, the kinds Emiko would have saved if she had lived. A mother's breath during a bombing, a shoe left behind in a fire, a name that disappeared from records but not from dreams. You write them all, you keep them safe, and somewhere along the way, you realize something. You don't need the diary anymore, because it's inside you now. At first, this terrifies you, but then you remember what it always wanted, to be remembered, to carry memory, to speak, to be heard, and now, you are those things. You go back to Hiroshima one day, not to find the diary, just to walk, to feel the ground beneath your feet and whisper her name one last time. Emiko, the trees are in bloom. White flowers fall slowly, silently like ash that chose peace. You sit by the river and take out your notebook. You write. She was 12, but she carried the weight of centuries. She remembered pain and passed it forward as a gift. She let me see not just the fire, but the hands reaching through it. She was never the ghost. We who forgot. Now, we remember. That night, you dream again, but not of fire, not of cities falling. You dream of a quiet room, a window open to the breeze, and Emiko, sitting at a desk writing. She looks up, smiles, and says, "I don't need to keep the diary anymore. You are the diary now." You wake with tears on your face, but you're not sad. You're full, not haunted, held. And the next time someone tells you something fragile, a memory, a thing no one else would care about, you do what the diary did for you. You listen, you write, you carry, because now, you remember.